Hello, everybody. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast. We have Gamer Session 25. This week, we continue with our mobile gaming company happy hour, where we do a deep dive on the mobile gaming company from the perspective of game design, UA, and ad monetization. But still, let's not forget this is 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe. Let's not be too serious about everything. But we would like to thank you for subscribing because we are growing. And today we have Felix, Jakub, and myself, Matej, talking about your favorite topic, deconstructing or analyzing the companies. Yeah.
No
let's
nicknames
dive in.
today?
What?
No
No
nicknames
names.
today?
No nicknames.
No
No.
nicknames.
We are no
This
nicknames.
is serious. This is serious
This is
business.
super
No
serious.
nicknames.
Let's get serious then.
All right.
We'll see. Because we are talking about Ubisoft today, so let's see if it's going to be super serious or not.
Very super serious. So,
Yeah.
if you're rejoining us, how we do this is I just give a little brief introduction here before we go into the various parts of Ad Mon, UA, and game design. But let's look at the numbers here on Ubisoft as a whole. So Ubisoft, as you all know, is a French company, which is reflected quite clearly in their 2021 annual financial statement. The cover page that you're greeted with has two playable characters that look down on you in a sheer look of superiority. Ubisoft was founded by Yves Guillemot, who leads the company as its CEO, and he's also the largest shareholder with 18% stake in Ubisoft, which is quite interesting. That's quite high.
That's the old guard, if I get that. I don't think so. There's any company this size that's like under the same setup.
Yeah. So some general information. So 2021 annual revenue for Ubisoft was 2.1 billion euros. That's down slightly from 2020, where they posted a 2.2 billion euro revenue. And Ubisoft is one of these companies that saw a tremendous COVID bump, as revenues in 2019 were only 1.5 billion euros. So they saw a 46% jump in 2020. Market cap, as of this recording, is around 5.1 billion euros, which gives them a very good price to earnings ratio, fueling speculation that they're going to be a tasty snack for a bigger gaming company to gobble up. And this kind of speculation on being gobbled up has only been enhanced even further after Microsoft's mega acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
Which still didn't happen.
Exactly.
Right. Stop.
But you can also see this, like there's been large swings in their share price, and that's usually due to people speculating on possible suitors. So let's do some speculation of our own as well, because we know we love doing that so much. So who do we think is currently circling Ubisoft? I'm going to pass it on to Remo for that, because, I think you have an opinion on this.
Mr. Speculator.
Mr. Speculator.
Before speculating, let's look at some hard facts down the line, what has happened before.
Ooh.
So already Ubisoft was kind of under fire from Vivendi in this kind of a bid for hostile takeover in 2018. And they were able to fend it off thanks to a partnership with Tencent, which owns currently 5% stake of Ubisoft, which in the end leads us to the speculation part where Tencent could be the one taking it off the market. So that's like possibility. Whereas
Why? Because they have already 5%, and then
no, they see they definitely see their numbers. They know what they're doing.
Exactly. That's why they have only 5%.
Maybe. But think about it that lately all the valuations went pretty much down. So this would be a fire sale. So it's, if Tencent and everybody's trying to look from the mobile part into the console PC part now. Remember that, for instance, Supercell set up a PC only studio recently. Yeah. So it should be a good spearhead for Tencent going into the West and trying to get into that PC console space where they would have pretty much like well-established IP of Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. So that would fit well. And then regarding the latest articles about these rumors, there's also these private equity firms like Blackstone and KKR. So that's next in line on top of it. Do we have any other
speculation?
tips?
Yeah, I have one speculation, but I just want to talk about it when I'm doing the UA part. Because
all right. You
one
leave your
connection,
speculation
one
to later,
connection.
then.
But if that connection turns out to be true, then dude, I'm gonna be. I don't know.
Are you excited about speculation for the first time ever on this podcast?
I am.
Seems
Do you have any inside information?
No, it's
Okay.
just
right.
it will be most probably a big joke, but still.
All right. Okay, so back to this, back to the information about Ubisoft. So interesting thing here, the first line in the 2021 annual statement from Ubisoft is basically a list, that says delivering on key strategic priorities, and the first bullet point states building major franchises in 2021 to 2022. Ubisoft's three largest brands each generated well over 300 million euros of net bookings, and they are Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. So what struck me here is that their key strategic overall goal is only netting them 13.6% of their overall revenue. And a whole 63% of their overall revenue came from back catalog net bookings. So they're very dependent on old titles. Breaking this down further, 65% of their revenue in 2021 came from consoles, 23% from PC, and 8% came from mobile.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
all their mobile titles made in 2021 168 million euros.
I mean, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad. Yeah. And I have to say that their end of year statement is only 16 pages compared to the other ones we've analyzed. It's very short because it contains like a lot less information. Last thing to know, also, Ubisoft acquired a couple of studios in the last couple of years, mobile studios, I should say. 1492, Greenpanda Games, Catch Up in 2016, Kolibri, and they also released their first-party mobile titles. So mobile is only mentioned once in their annual statement, and it's like not in a paragraph or anything like that. It's just mentioned once by word when they do the breakout. So the key takeaway I have to say from reading this financial statement from my side is il est clair que tout le monde se fout des applications mobiles à Ubisoft, which means it is clear that no one at Ubisoft gives a shit about mobile, or at least anyone in their C-level.
Oh my god, we got it. Oh man, your French is so amazing.
So with that great tee up, I guess we're handing it over to was it you, Mathieu, or was it?
Let's
Remo?
start with
Remo
this time.
Yeah.
He always talks a lot, and we
a lot
want
to
keep
analyze.
Everybody, yeah, I know, but we want to keep everybody entertained and interested still.
Yeah. So looking at the overall portfolio, just the mobile one, want to stress that out, and of course the biggest titles, because just by looking at the store account of Catch Up, there's literally hundreds of games.
Yeah.
That are mainly like hyper casual ones, so we won't go really deep on those ones. But just by looking by IP revenue that we can see, but I'm guessing that there's a substantial amount of ad revenue coming in. If I get that right, if these results are based on the 2021, which is 168 million, what we see is that nearly 88 million of that is IAPs. So therefore, it seems it's around 50-50 if we are counting it right. So the thing that I will be talking about mainly goes from IAPs, but again, feel free to add something between 50, some games maybe 60. I would guess Idle Miner Tycoon is even more ads than IAPs. So let's see. By looking at the last year performance of the IAP revenue, Idle Miner Tycoon stands, of course, the strongest one, making nearly quarter of the whole IAP revenue of the mobile division of the company on their account. Then comes Might and Magic Heroes Era of Chaos, which is around 16%. And then comes the Hungry Shark World and surprisingly Growtopia, which even went over the Hungry Shark Evolution, which was there before. Yeah, really? I'll cover that.
Okay, it's okay, because I didn't see any UA spent going into this game at all.
And this game, in my opinion, is run completely by community and organic, and it's just that one of those, it will just live itself and makes money.
Yum.
Okay,
they
that's
have
fine.
a lot of these. So
Okay.
the interesting fact, of course, as we are always kind of, let's say, looking forward to the company's kind of health of the portfolio, the top 3 games here represents 51% of IP income, which is, I think, when we're looking at Rovio, it is a little bit more healthy because they had like 75% in first 3 games. I would say they are much more diversified, which is good. The other problem, of course, is as usual, all of the games are pretty old. The youngest one being the Idle Miner Tycoon release in 2016, which
Okay,
is
so the
their
Hungry Shark World is what, like more than 10 years old, right?
no.
Is it
Hungry Shark World is 2015. This is the newest
15?
one.
Okay.
There are like 6 iterations of that game already.
Oh, okay. Because I saw some of the creatives, and it was said like this is 10th anniversary. So I guess 10th anniversary of the whole Hungry Shark. Well,
IP,
let's call it
yeah.
IP. IP was.
Yeah.
Someone's lying in a creative and a mobile creative. That's never happened
Ooh,
before.
I
What?
know, right? Outrageous.
Outrageous, really.
Sorry, continue.
Anyway, so yeah, all of those are unfortunately old. Oh, sorry. No. 2019 is the youngest one. The Might and Magic Heroes Era of Chaos. That's
Yeah.
the youngest one. Yeah.
Okay.
From the old guard, there's the Idle Miner Tycoon. That's 2016. Yeah. So if you look to previous performances, the revenue for IAPs for 2020 is a little bit higher, 110 million. So I would guess that they are going a little bit on a decline here this year. And if we look just for the first half of 2022, there's around 28 million just in IP revenue. So I'm guessing it's kind of a constant decline of the both mobile and ad revenue. The games there are kind of the same still: Idle Miner Tycoon, Might and Magic Heroes Era of Chaos, and then Hungry Shark World and Hungry Shark Evolution.
Okay.
There's the older
There's
one. That's
the-
2013 one.
okay,
So
yeah.
they are still leading the pack there. Nothing else entering the pie chart here. So my guess is that they are kind of either, as Felix said, not really interested into this, or are not that even hungry for M&A targets for like mobile studios gaining kind of stuff there. Because a lot of these, let's say, bigger studios are definitely acquiring already kind of games like they did with Kolibri,
Yeah.
but since that they didn't do anything else there. So we can look at some of the games that they have in soft launch. I was kind of surprised at what they have there. So there's actually 2 kind of core games that they have there. There's this Clash of Beasts Tower Defense game, soft launch in January 2021, which is an original IP.
Is it still in soft launch? Okay.
Yeah,
long time,
there's some kind of a, let's say, a
They are
little bit
definitely-
higher numbers than
Yeah.
usual for soft launch game, but there's
Exactly.
definitely not global launch numbers games.
Okay, well, it's the thing is, I will jump in into this because in terms of that game, they are spending in US, Germany, UK, and other like tier 1 countries, and they are spending heavily on iOS, especially these days. Which means I think even for soft launch, this is kind of unusual. I know some of the companies like Rovio soft launch their games in US. Most probably never kind of like get that strategy, but never mind. Still, there are pretty big amount of countries happening in for that game. So I would say it's out of the soft launch already.
Maybe it's out of the soft launch, but doesn't seem so regarding the numbers that it's that big. So
yeah, I mean, sure. I think they could launch the game in January, and now they're just like trying to grow the game. But the problem here, and I don't really understand like why they're doing this. They're running a lot of campaigns on iOS, on the Might and Magic, Hungry Shark, and Clash of Beasts, but no Android almost anywhere. There's like this horse breeding game only on Android and nothing else. So
okay.
You can continue. Continue.
The interesting part of this game, when I was looking into it, it says it's a Clash of Beasts tower defense. But if you look into it, it's not really a tower defense like the typical one where you build towers and stop lines of units that would go and take after your health one by one. It's actually modeled around that kind of old game called War Dragons from Pocket Gems that was really, really, really
Yeah, I know.
good in 2015, 16.
Yep.
It had this kind of really, really strong breeding element where you would breed dragons, build up your fortress, and you would have these kind of scripted passages that would you put towers on, and you would destroy other fortresses of other players. So this is essentially what is happening also here, where you would only pick up your hero with some kind of abilities and then go through a scripted passage, destroy the towers, and then get to the enemy fort. So yeah, they picked this kind of a really, really old gameplay style, and I think they're trying a little bit to iterate on it, but didn't see that much iteration regarding that. Also didn't see the breeding element of dragons that I guess in 2015-16 that really kind of fly through. Don't know what's now, but yeah, as said, the numbers aren't really saying that this is big. So maybe it will get bigger, but yeah, it's keep in mind that it's already soft launch for more than a year, or potentially global launched.
My theory here is that people got so tired of dragons after the Game of Thrones fiasco. 100% what's happened.
So I have this back channel information about the dragons and Ubisoft actually. So how they came up with the Hungry Shark IP. So they ran a marketability test and tried to see which animal, sharks versus dragons, are going to yield better results. And surprise, surprise, sharks won. There you go. Yeah, I mean it makes all of sense because dragons are super niche. So dragons are not that popular in that company. Oh well,
we'll see.
Maybe now.
But yeah, this is one of the two games that are currently maybe not in soft launch anymore. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
And then there's this Wild Arena Survivors that's been soft launch in May 2022, so just very, very recent. And it's basically an isometric battle royale where they're claiming that you're going against 40 players. Seems to me like isometric Fortnite just by looking at the screenshots.
Yeah.
Literally, same control.
I look at the creatives as well. I was like, what the fuck is this Fortnite?
Yeah, so like I don't know. I don't know who is making these games. My guess is those are done by external studios, not Ubisoft, kind of a core studio or something like that. Because who can even be called like Ubisoft mobile core studio, like Kolibri or Ketchup? And I don't think so. These guys are making these, so possibly someone
this
outside.
Is like work for hire,
or maybe work for hire. Don't know, but yeah, it will be interesting to see. Like I think I saw like few of these already. These kind of isometric battle royales, like Badlands, or I think Future Play has it, and like some other games in the genre. But they really didn't went so big, and the competition is of course super fierce.
Yeah, they didn't went
royale.
big, but they still seems to be decent in terms of the size. And I mean, Future Play is kind of profitable, right? So
yeah,
why not? So I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah, but yeah, let's see how this fares. It seems super new, and yeah, the graphics and everything, as I said, like seems like a Fortnite quality. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah, but I looked at the creatives they have, and they had only like one, which is super weird for these Wild Arena Survivors. I had it in my part, but it's like it looks like they don't know how to soft launch. So guys,
but we're also
soft launch over here. Just ping me anytime.
But we've also discussed this several times, right? You know how clones always do better than the original game. Oh wait.
Oh yeah. Of course. But this is the plus one. The isometric view is the
it is definitely a plus one. But but the IP seems kind of like I don't know. Whoever kind of tries to be Fortnite has the problem that Fortnite isn't really an IP. It's like a bunch of all the other IPs they can get into their universe.
Oh yeah.
And they're having Star Wars, Marvel, whatever each month. So Gucci. They aren't even. They're like collection of IPs.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in hearing the Growtopia game because it looks like it's really
let's start there. Let's go from the oldest one. So moving back next from the games in soft launch into games that are kind of driving the portfolio through IPs. So Growtopia game is pretty much a free-to-play sandbox MMO with a side view. And if you look at it a little bit more closely, it seems like the gameplay is really similar to Terraria. Terraria is pretty much like a side-scrolled Minecraft. I would say this is even a little bit sooner than that because looking at the graphics, it's really it's in 10-year-old game that's there. but it has very, very, very kind of the MMO aspect is definitely much more fleshed out than in Terraria or other games that you see like this. So my guess is that it's mainly community driven. It's still making somewhere around like 250,000 IPs a month and having around 150k downloads or something in that matter for the, like, yeah, of course we just see the numbers until from since 2016 where the data analytics tools that we use kind of give us the angle there. But yeah, I would say this is just one of those games that the community will pretty much play until they stop kind of pushing updates of it or like supporting it, which they why should they stop if it is making kind of so much money for, I would say, so little effort.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that's one of those, let's say, little effort, big money games. Then they have the Hungry Shark Evolution and Hungry Shark World.
Nice.
Both games are getting really, really, really big amounts of organic. Hungry Shark Evolutions is getting like 4 million downloads a month. Hungry Shark World a little bit less, something in like 2 million or something in that matter a month.
Yeah, still pretty good.
Yeah, still pretty good. But comparatively, they're making both around 600, 500k just in IPs a month. So I would maybe even double that.
Yeah, but their rewarded placements are really good in Hungry Shark. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's even more than a double at least.
So both games, I would say together like 2 million altogether a month. So that's pretty strong. And I would say the upkeep on this probably isn't that big. You're just kind of creating new skins, new events, new content that I guess these games already have like templates built in. So should be again like easy revenue for not that big amount of effort. So these are kind of driving the portfolio. Then we have these, let's say, attempts. So there's the South Park game with the South Park Phone Destroyer that kind of went really big during the launch, and that went downhill pretty fast.
Then it died.
That's the unfortunate shark fin, as we used to say.
Oh, there you go. Unfortunate shark fin. There you go. Yeah. Yes.
So I would say it is one of it was released in the wave of games trying to catch up to Clash Royale. They're of course using the core mechanic of that game, but their plus one is the line battle and South Park IP, of course. South Park IP I think is pretty good. Problem in my opinion is that it seems to me it's kind of niche in a way. That South Park, for one thing, graphical style and the style of humor is kind of niche. Not saying it's bad, but it's kind of niche. So that's one thing. And then
do you think that the South Park IP is niche?
I'm not sure. Like I have never met anyone who hates South Park.
Oh,
keep
I'm
in
referring
mind
to like he said like niche like 10 times in 5 seconds. So I guess it's
keep in mind that
but it's a sign of good luck. Say niche 3 times.
Okay.
Say niche 3 times. Your game will suffer.
And rub on your forehead, and you'll win the lottery.
So after that kind of bigger launch, my guess is they just stopped the UA because they saw that the numbers aren't kind of keeping up the scale. So now the game is making something like 200k a month, where it's pretty much
zero UA spent. 200k a month. It's not bad.
I actually have some inside knowledge on South Park.
Oh, really?
Basically, what they said was a unnamed source was that they had a lot of like, what can you say, storyline that was driven, but it wasn't very deep. So you could play through that storyline really quickly. That was actually like co-created with the South Park creators. It's quite funny. I remember the first 2-3 chapters, like you laughed a couple of times, but it wasn't that deep. Like, I don't think they got a lot of contact from the South Park studio guys.
So Fallout Shelter problem when you run out of content too much because it's not like a free-to-play built from the scratch.
Okay.
Yeah, but overall, if I read these numbers correct, they did like 37 million lifetime revenue, which is pretty neat for this kind of a game. Don't know what's the deal there with like the percentage going to the IP holder, but I would guess so. This game is kind of making some easy money for them. And then
so far, man, you said like almost on about every game, like, oh, this is free money, this is free money, this is nice money. Like, well, so it's not that bad actually.
It's not that bad, but if you're Ubisoft, it could be much better.
Way better. Yeah.
It's like it's 8% of their overall revenue, right? So like I'm sure like it just keeps ticking. So they're just like, oh,
okay.
And then the main course is Idle Miner Tycoon, which was acquired in 2020 February. The game kind of set like it's pretty much the founder of the idle genre by itself. That
OG.
kind of I would say maybe the first one would be Adventure Capitalist, but Idle Miner can push it even more forward and iterated a lot. By the time that they went into kind of a global launch phase, it was rumored that they had like 75% day one retention. I remember those rumors.
Around 80.
Yeah, keep in mind that the game was done by 4 founders in their dorm room in like 4 weeks, something like that. So yeah, really outstanding job.
One of
The
our
game
Cinderella stories. Like,
Yeah,
it's not that
exactly.
many anymore. Like, this is one of the latest ones.
And the game uses this kind of really, really interesting core gameplay of, I remember someone calling it, I think it was Adam Telfer, unstable 3-leg chair, where you upgrade something and then it puts the other 2 legs into disorder. So we need to then upgrade those and the cycle repeats. So it's kind of, joy in optimization where you have the lift, the conveyor belt, and the mine, and you still kind of try to optimize these 3 elements. After the sale, or let's say after the completion of it, the UA kind of died down on that game.
Oh yeah.
First, they went super ads and not really IAPs, but later on, they definitely increased the robustness of the economy and added that important IAP layer. But from, I would say, that peak of 2020, they're kind of declining a little bit, but still making really, really good revenue of, I'm guessing, somewhere in the vicinity of like more than 2 million a month. It's an IAPs both. So still kind of stable. The other issue with this game or company is that they went kind of berserk in last years on cloning it.
Yeah.
In a way that you now have Idle Restaurant Tycoon, High School Tycoon, Idle Firefight Tycoon, Taxi Tycoon, Mail Tycoon, Farm Tycoon, Factory Tycoon, and Pirate Tycoon.
Yeah, all that, by the way. All that. There was this like Taxi Tycoon, which was having some kind of like some level of spend, but it's that.
That's the youngest one, October 2021.
Yeah,
but you literally
already.
like if you look at the release dates, they're doing like May 2020, June 2020, October 2020, November 2020, December 2020. So they released like 5 games in 1 year. None of them did a dent into the revenue. And it's not really complete reskins or, it's I definitely see some kind of iterations, especially the longer you go, there's more iterations. It's definitely on the same engine, and you can see that, doing this kind of a really, really big capacity, you cannot do it without any kind of salvaging the parts from the previous game. But none of those really cut it.
You remember we did we ran the UA for Factory Tycoon back in the days, and it was just crap. We couldn't make it work.
I remember that at this time, 2020 or even before 2020, already the competition in the idle genre was pretty much heating up by Adventure Communist, which really kind of changed their gameplay and implemented the gacha system much more closely into their core gameplay rather than Idle Miner Tycoon, which kind of duct taped it on top of it. So that game kind of flew off there. So I'm guessing that they kind of suffered from the competition from there. But none of the kind of mutations of the idle tycoon genre really did fly with them. So I'm guessing now that the founders left the company, we'll see what happens with it, because I'm kind of skeptical if
cares.
they can
Nobody
move
cares
in
anymore.
this direction. So that would be for the mobile portfolio. I have last 3 bits regarding their non-mobile portfolio, just like 3 highlights, small ones.
All right, small ones, dude.
Very
like,
quickly.
There was the Ubisoft.
Man, like 20 minutes, man. Jesus,
Let's
can
go.
take the whole time.
There was the Ubisoft Quartz attempt, which was their NFT initiative. That famously they added NFTs into Ghost Recon, where there was this infamous interview where one of the VP of strategic innovation said, so it's really for players, it's really beneficial to them, but they don't get it for now. Where I remember there was this kind of big backlash, and 3 months later they said they're kind of ending the support on this whole feature, and it's all burned down. So that's one thing. The other thing is, of course, a little bit of praise, where Valhalla recently hit, the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 1 billion in revenue. and that was the biggest one in the whole franchise that is been in the making from 2007. So keep in mind, this is like 14 years of Assassin's Creed, where the game practically changed genre in between.
Who doesn't like Vikings, man? Everyone loves Vikings.
Yeah, the game was great. I played it.
Says the only Viking in the room.
In the room,
in the podcast.
Yeah, so this was mainly driven, I guess, by their developed model where they're slotting DLCs after DLCs into already big and enriched world, and there's even some kind of free-to-play functionality on top of it. So this went pretty well for Ubisoft. And then the last thing, which I think will be kind of highlight for this year regarding their portfolio, will be the Skull and Bones game that's been in the making for 9 years, as originally an expansion to the really, really good Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the naval mode that everybody liked. And me personally, I just game. Played the mode and didn't care about the assassinations at all. So this game spent rumoredly 120 million into its development cost. So we'll definitely see if this thing pays off. It's slated to release after 5 or 6 delays in November 8th this year. So yeah, I'm really looking forward into it.
Is that going to be a console game or a PC game or both?
Both, my guess is both.
Man, I can't wait to try that. Like
that's it from my side.
Yeah. I can't wait to not play that game. Hello, listeners. It's Matej over here. We hope you're enjoying this Mobile Games Happy Hour episode, where we do deep dives on companies' UA, game design, and Ad Mon strategies. We put a lot of effort into these episodes to further your knowledge on how you can improve your bottom line by learning from the missed opportunities of other companies. If you consider this useful and would like to see how your company or game would fare under our Audit Trifecta challenge, feel free to reach out to us. You can find my email listed in the show notes below. But now, let's get back to this amazing podcast. But yeah, okay, so yeah, let's get back to actually real stuff. UA and ad monetization. I know it's only 8% of their revenue, but still, that's what we do. Well, I already mentioned the marketability tests that they did in the past, which is kind of nice. They look at the data, even though they are actually a big corporation. Well, you know how it goes in the big companies. Like, I think this should be what we do. Like, yeah, well, not here, which is nice. On the other hand, so I was trying to do some digging on LinkedIn as I usually do. I couldn't find any head of UA or marketing leads or anything. I do know some peeps that are working there. Never met them. I think there was like this time when I was leaving Pixel Federation and Cycle. I was working there, and I was trying. Well, I was in talks with Ubisoft to join them, but eventually picked other company and stayed here in Slovakia. But still, I mean, I'm not sure if I could work in this big corporation again.
Okay, cool story, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, they're mainly spending on 6 games as we discussed with Jakub. It's a horse, the horse breeding game, Might and Magic: Era of Chaos, Hungry Shark World, Clash of Beasts, and then Wild Arena Survivor, which is the Fortnite clone. Other games are dead. Assassin's Creed, South Park Destroyer, Pawn Destroyer, Horse Haven, and some other games from their mobile portfolio. I mean, well, they are not making any money. So, they are making money, but I guess they're not that viable in terms of the UA. Well, surprisingly enough, they are pushing a lot of iOS campaigns, as I mentioned, on Hungry Shark, Might and Magic, and Clash of Beasts. So I'm pretty sure these games are just global launched, and the Clash of Beasts as well. The main channel here is Facebook, which makes a lot of sense because of the iOS strategy. And Facebook, it's still, I mean, I'm bitching about Facebook for the last 6 months, but it's still on iOS, still pretty good and decent channel. But they are missing out heavily on other channels. I mean, if you want to grow on iOS, guys, start Unity and TikTok. And, to be honest, I'm pretty sure like these type of games could work really well on Google UAC. And actually, I did a little bit of digging as well, and then I found out that they are actually spending on iOS on Google, and it's like 17 to 25% of spend. There is the Hungry Shark Top Geos. It's US and Japan, so So Jakub, are sharks as popular as ants in Japan, or do you know?
I
Or
would
not that
guess so.
much?
Ants are more popular than sharks
Okay.
there. But yeah,
Yeah,
feel free, anybody from Japan listening to us, to write to us and correct us.
yeah, correct us. Well, for Might and Magic, it's a classic split between US and tier 1 geos like Australia, Canada, Germany, France. But also they are kind of big in Asian geos like Vietnam, Hong Kong, and Singapore. I mean, that game could work there well, right? So they were spending heavily on their horse game on Android at the beginning of the May, but now the overall spending decreased for this game as of now, and they are spending very little on iOS. I mean, they are mainly targeting France, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, and then US comes after these. So, I mean, okay, well, this might mean like two things: either it's a high competition or big competition in the US, or because the game is localized in these other geos. And took a look on this game, and it was kind of localized even in Slovak language, which is interesting. But okay,
How
so I
many?
guess it's
What's the
both.
population of Slovakia?
5
5.5
plus.
million. Yeah, there you
Dedication.
go. Yeah. Well, in terms of the creatives, so they're running different creatives on Facebook versus what they're running on Google. So while those creatives on Facebook look like shit, it's mostly gameplay with different types of sharks. But I mean, they look like shit, but that doesn't mean they don't perform, right? So we already know that. We already know that. The ones that I saw on Google are super high production value. There are some fun scenes, and to be honest, like they were generally like more appealing to me. So I definitely like them. I would just click on that ad and install the game. But unfortunately, those creatives, I guess, they're appealing only to me because they had really low impressions. So, so I'm just not the only one that actually likes them, because Google and Facebook doesn't allocate so much spend into this. But yeah, jokes aside, like, they're definitely lacking variety of concepts. So I could see like 3 to 4 concepts that are getting almost all the spend for all the games they're running. So it's not only like Might and Magic, but it's also Hungry Shark and also the Clash of Beasts. I mean, the Clash of Beasts creatives were just really like 3D high production value. I mean, pretty good looking. And it seems like they are not able to find any new creative winners because these creatives are really old. I mean, like a couple of months old, and in this in this case, couple of months, it's like a couple of years in 2018. But some of the creatives on Facebook, man, I almost died. So some of these creatives, they show logo of Ubisoft in the first second. Who cares? Come on. And in the second or the seconds afterwards, they show a logo of the game. So you have like 1 to 3 seconds on Facebook to get players' attention. And what do you do? Show them your logo. Fucking outstanding
Is it
move.
logo of Heroes of Might and Magic?
No.
It's the
It's
Ubisoft
really,
logo.
it's Ubisoft logo and then the logo of the game, but the
Mhm.
mobile game. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, nobody cares.
But then they know
Nobody
it's
cares.
Ubisoft, you know?
Yeah, well, I know. Okay, okay. Well, if you are a big company, then you need to have logo everywhere.
But
Yeah,
Ubisoft in mobile is like nothing.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, of course it makes sense on PC, console. Okay, blah blah blah. On mobile, no. Just please stop. There's fun fact: they were actually running playables, but they were last seen in 2020. But yeah, I need to be fair. Like, since they're not running like any ad networks, they're running only on Facebook and Google, the UA, and playables just don't make sense on these platforms. So, in terms of the suggestions, I would suggest a very similar thing that I suggested when we talked about King. Just ramp up the volume on Unity, for fuck's sake. It's working really well on iOS, and since you're focusing on iOS, the spend, this would be a great move. I couldn't see any TikTok either, and I know I'm really annoying on with this. And we actually had a session about TikTok, so if Facebook is performing well, TikTok will outperform Facebook. I mean, I'm pretty sure. So and also like I'm managing 2 games with animal theme, which is very similar to you guys, and TikTok is absolutely killing it. It's absolutely killing it, outperforming everything else. And I had this thought about the Apple search ads, and I know it's not scalable, but if you're running the iOS campaigns, just like just launch those branding campaigns. You can talk about your Ubisoft logo how many times you want. But yeah, like the jokes aside, I mean, it can be. I mean, it's not going to be the biggest channel, but it still can be pretty good channel for your iOS activities. But I think there is a, as I said, lack of variety of creative concepts. So the Hungry Shark concepts look like iterations of each other, which is a shame because they're showing the same thing all over again. And I think the UA team should sit down with the creative team, look at the data, look at the competition, and brainstorm the shit out of their heads as soon as possible. Because it looks like Ubisoft is ramping up budgets on iOS for free games. You have 4 concepts, and they are not going to run like this forever. So you should think at least like 1 or 2 steps ahead. And with this animal theme, there is so much that can be done in terms of the experimentation with any ideas, crazy ideas. Do you remember like when we discussed the Ants Underground game?
Mm-hmm.
They are working with so many things, like so many like creative concepts, from ants
Chips.
in the food, chips in the food, like man. But from there, they are going through the player motivation and using humor in the creatives, and that's something that really works. So yeah, well, try that definitely. I mean, I saw some sharks with the jetpacks, which felt kind of funny, but I mean, it was really, I mean, still like a lot of us looked like a lot of gameplay. And I'm not sure like what's up with the Android spend, but definitely if we are doing well on Android on iOS, and I'm all for running the iOS campaigns, but you should definitely take a look at that. And I guess there is a reason, and we don't know the reason, but still, I mean, okay, well, whatever. Moving on. A few words about Kolibri and the UA perspective. And they started, launching the one idle game after another, like you mentioned. Fun fact is, they're spending only on Idle Miner Tycoon, and even with that game, they're scaling out the budget quite heavily in the last 3 months. And there is one interesting thing. Their main UA channel is can you guess?
App loving?
Can you guess? Jakub.
TikTok?
No, there you go. It's Chart Boost. It's fucking Chart Boost. I thought that
It's a
this
blast
channel
from
was,
the past there.
yeah, I was dead already, but maybe this means Zynga. Oh well, Take Two will buy Ubisoft. That's the speculation.
Oh, that was thin. That is
of
thin.
course, no. It's well, it's it's there.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know, 100%. But yeah, nothing too interesting in looking into the Kolibri UA activities. Unfortunately, I thought that Ubisoft could learn something from Idle Miner Tycoon insights and learnings, but yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the in the data that is available for us. So most probably no.
My guess is a lot of kind of talent left after the acquisition.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like
Nate,
I met the
Nate
Kolibri founders. I know them, and like, man, like they're living their best life now. Like driving fast cars, like working with personal trainers, just living life. Like they're checked out.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Right. So yeah, I think that's it. That's it from my side, basically. So it's we can move on. To ad monetization.
Yeah. So I gotta say, for Ad Mon this time, 16 pages of financial statement compared to Rovio and Activision Blizzard. It was just they were like 90 to 120 pages each. There's no snippets of nuggets information. So unfortunately, Ad Mon here is a bit light. It's not as like punchy as I usually like to make them. So yeah, as Remo said, they made 168 million last year from mobile, which means that basically IP sales were 86 million euros, which means that 81.8 million euros came, or 48% of that was mobile ad revenues. So Having an IAP versus ad revenue 50-50 split is probably skewed quite heavily due to the fact that they own Ketchup, which is going to be 98% or even more maybe in ad revenue. And then Greenpanda and Kolibri are idle studios. So usually what I expect there is that, 70% is IAP and 30% ads. Probably
even more
on ads on Idle Miner because it's just a big behemoth.
Idle Miner is 60% ads, definitely.
Yeah. So that gives us that, Ubisoft as a whole earn about 225K a day in ad revenue. So they're a player, but, they're not, one of those million a day studios which exist. So and they're up there, but not the biggest. So quick LinkedIn search showed me that all the different studios have their own Ad Mon people, meaning that they don't centralize their Ad Mon efforts. So safe to say here that they haven't gotten one of these mega mediation deals, moving in everything in as an integration deal.
And they also have the UA and monetization specialist.
Yeah. So it's like, I can't fault them for that because, when you buy studios, you promise them independence and it's very hard to backtrack on that. Also, like doing Ad Mon for hyper casual, it's such a different ball game completely to doing Ad Mon on other titles. So can't really fault them for that. So going through these studio by studio, Ketchup, I don't want to comment too much because hyper casual is a genre on Ad Mon I know very little about. So I'm not going to pretend to talk about something I don't know.
Oh, nice, because this is No Bullshit Gaming podcast.
Yeah, but what I do know, is that I've seen Ketchup a lot less lately in the top rankings, and generally for hyper casual, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So, looking at Kolibri, interesting studio. I met the founders. They're super nice. They're living their best lives, like we said. I'm not sure if they're involved anymore. Yeah. Anyway. So the DAU in Kolibri, like we said, is all centered on Idle Miner Tycoon. 87% of the DAU is overall for the studio still coming from this game. So one interesting thing I know about them that they used to favor hiring very junior people and training them internally. And they've not really hired any senior staff. So for Ad Mon, that sometimes can be super bad if you have a junior person who hasn't done anything really in Ad Mon before or no guidance with a senior person. And why that's bad is everyone in Ad Mon lies and you will get screwed over a lot.
Even Felix.
Exactly. And how do I know this? I've been a junior person and I've been screwed over a lot.
A lot. There you go.
So you get lied to on many different levels. So first there's a first level of how you get lied to, and that's who to integrate and who to work with. Here everyone lies through their teeth. And so here you gotta choose the right network, and only experience help will help you cut through all the noise. So someone might, for example, tell you that Ad Colony are really strong on rewarded videos in India, and then you might believe that even though that's not true. Also, for example, in my first year, I was doing Ad Mon, and then an AM at Shit Network X told me that I should replace my interstitial placements or replace the ad units and just force fill with rewarded in their interstitial placement because it will pay me a higher ECPM. I didn't do it, but that's essentially ad fraud and we would have banned. So they just wanted to boost their numbers for their own bonus for that quarter. So that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with. And if you don't have experience or people above you, you're like, dude, I should do this probably because they can be very convincing. Also what you get kind of when you integrate studios that actually work with you and work quite well, they'll always fight for you to put as many placements in the game as humanly possible. And it's up to you and your experience to decide actually if that's a good idea, with the overall strategy that you're currently having. Because even already now I get requests from Unity Iron Source and Fiber saying add X amount of placements, and then suddenly you have 100 placements in the game, and that's not a good thing. So you got to balance that, and experience is the only way to decide if that's a good thing. So Kolibri lately, they've hired an Ad Mon heavy hitter, so I can only imagine that whatever was there before, that it only gets better from here, because I can't imagine that they were getting the absolute best. Also, what I noticed on Idle Miner, they had before an unusually high amount of ad networks they were working with. So usually on games this size, it's actually better nowadays to just work with 7 or 8 networks, but you work with them really closely and like really squeeze out like as much margin as you can. Greenpanda games, another idle maker. Their SDK stack looks very like it makes complete sense for a game like the games this size. 1492. They make story-driven games. Their biggest title is It Love, Drogo Vampire? SDKs make sense here too, but I just got to call these guys out that I've banned them in so many of my games because UA creatives get so many complaints.
Like Twilight, basically on mobile.
So all in all, like I couldn't find any snippets of information from the annual statements that could send me down like a rabbit hole like I did on Rovio and King. Unfortunately, and then without any first-party data where I can look into their mediation stack, I won't be able to estimate how much like increase we can get here. But better luck next time.
Yeah, better luck next time. I think we got pretty nice information about how they are making like easy money on these games. And I would say like, hey guys, like if you're making easy money on these games, like try to make it work from the UA perspective. I mean, if you're spending like, well, now you're spending 0 and making like from 200K to 500K a month. So even if you can grow the budgets from 50K, from 0 to 50K or even 100K a month, then, you can grow the revenue pretty nicely.
Do you think that this would be important for someone who has sunk 120 million in a 9-year-old game?
Okay.
That's what I wanted to ask. Do you guys agree with my statement that I don't think any in the C-level in Ubisoft gives a shit about
they don't care.
They don't care. Yeah, absolutely.
But
not.
I'm kind of curious. Like, why didn't they care about NFTs if they don't care about the technology that was kind of the main thing before?
Dude, that's so deep question.
Don't know. Anyway, just give me my pirate game in November. Want to see that one?
Okay.
Very excited.
Very excited. All right. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's it for today. Yeah, let's make easy money as Ubisoft Mobile. And see you until next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.